Well, good morning. This is me, Mom. Today I've entitled this episode, Receiving an Unexpected Gift. In James 1:17 it says, "Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who does not change like sifting shadows." So, if I had plenty of money, I would have thought, well, I just saved up my money and I went. But whenever you don't have any money that you know of and you get a chance to do something that you never expected to do, that's a gift. And so that's the kind of gift I'm talking about. I know in and of my own I'd have never got to go to Germany, but that's the trip that God gave me, so I wanted to share it with you. Anyway, my sister Meredith was talking to me one day and she was telling me that her daughter lived in Germany. Her husband was in the Air Force, and so they were living in Germany, and she wanted to go see her. But Meredith's husband wouldn't go with her. He wasn't going to fly. And she had asked his sister, who was a widow, to go with her, and she was afraid of flying. I said, well, I'll go with you. I didn't even think about it. I just said it off the spur of the moment. I said, I'll go with you. And so, long story short, the next thing you know, I'm on a plane headed for Germany. And I'd only flown one time, and it was just a short distance, but at least I'd been on an airplane. And so after I got on the plane and got to thinking about it, I thought, well, what if this plane goes down? What if I crash? I don't even know how to swim if we were to crash in the ocean. I know if we crashed in the land, I'd die, but if we crashed in the ocean, I can't swim. So I began to worry about it, and I said, Lord, I ain't going to worry about it, devil. Got a chance to go, and I'm going, Lord, be with me. And I settled back, and I began to enjoy the trip. So this was in September. We were going from September the 10th through the 23rd in 1980. And so we left Savannah, and after a 10 and a half hour flight, we landed in Frankfurt, Germany. And my niece had talked about us meeting a train, but thank God they came and met us, because I don't know what we would have done there. We didn't speak any kind of German, and we wouldn't have known where to go. So anyway, she and her husband picked us up, and it was probably several hours to get back to their house. But on the way, we stopped at this palatial place called The Residence, and it was huge. The gardens were absolutely beautiful, and because actually Bonnie lived in a little village called Fürth right outside of Nunberg, and this was in Frankfurt where they met us. And while we were there, we went to Garmisch. It's up in the Bavarian country, and it was just awesome to see all the men and the children with their Bavarian dress on whenever they went out for Sunday for sure. And so we stayed with Bonnie and her husband there in Fürth, but we would go out during the days, and sometimes we'd spend the night out. And so we went on our trip where we spent the night. We went to the General Abrams Hotel, which was in Garmisch, and it was built in 1720, and so we stayed there for $11.67 a night. So we stayed there 2 nights, so that was cheap. And then we went and we saw this. It's called, I might pronounce these words wrong, but anyway, I'm from the South. But we went to W-E-I-S Church, Weiss, I guess, and it's called the Church in the Meadow. And what it was, this church was built to house a statue of Christ, which was said to have shed real tears. And it was one of the most ornate buildings that I have ever seen. It was gorgeous inside. And the thing that really stood out in my mind, there was a doorway that goes to heaven, and regardless of where you stood in that building, whether it's on the north, south, east, or west, that gate, that door was right there where you could walk through it. I just thought that was so neat. And we saw 2 of the 5 castles that King Ludwig built. They called him the Mad King, but the tour guide said if we had known that the money that he lavished on all these castles would bring in the tourism like it has, so we would have thought he was so mad. But anyway, we went to Norris Weinstein, and that's a fairy castle. And we went to Linderhof also, and both of the castles have completely different looks. But I never knew what the word grandeur and exquisite and opulent meant till I went over there and I saw the magnificent splendor of these castles. It was just awesome. And then we went to the top of the Zugspitze, and that is the highest Alp in Germany. It's 9,718 feet up in the air, and we went all the way to the top. And so when we got up there and you looked down, there was clouds way down beneath you, and I felt like I was on top of the world looking down on creation. And just to see, you can see 400 mountain range tops from where we were. And so it's a very humbling experience to see all the beauty that God has given to us. And then on a Saturday we went to Nunberg. And Nunberg is a real old city, and it's so picturesque. It's got all these ornate, beautiful cathedrals and got canals, and oh, I just thought it was gorgeous. And then on Saturdays, in contrast to these, were these tents, red and white top tents, where, I mean, I don't know how, they look like hundreds, but I'm sure there wasn't that many. But just everywhere you look, there was these red and white tents set up. And the farmers and the artisans came and sold their wares on Saturdays to all the people. And so we were there, and there was this one old woman. She looked like a crone. I mean, she was so old, and there was all these gorgeous, young, beautiful flowers among this old, haggard-looking woman. And I thought, what a contrast. And so I'm going to take a picture. Now, I got to tell you, Fred didn't think I could take pictures, and we had an expensive camera, and he wouldn't let me use it. But when I was going to Germany, he said I could use it because he wanted me to buy him a new camera when I was in Germany. So I thought, oh boy, I'm going to show him up. I got some gorgeous pictures, you know. So anyway, you know that old saying about pride goeth before a fall. While we were in Nunberg, after I'd gotten all these gorgeous pictures, I went to take the film out of the camera because I'd used up 36 slots. And when I did, I'd never done it before, and I exposed all 36 of my pictures. So all my beautiful pictures, not all of them, but some that I made there, got ruined. So I didn't get to show Fred up after all. But anyway. We went to Munich, and we went to Dachau, and Dachau is where the concentration camps are. And it might have been my imagination, but when I was there, I could almost sense the agony. I could feel it, y'all. I mean, I don't know, maybe my imagination was working overtime, but the same thing, really, similar thing happened to me when I was in Nuremberg. We went out to Soldiers Field where Hitler trained his troops, and I could almost feel the magnetism that he had over that. And there was nobody there but us. But I could feel it. So it was weird. So anyway, I don't like it, but whatever it was, I felt something. And then we went to Rotenberg. And Rotenberg is an old medieval town. And we walked on the walls that's still standing after 800 years ago. And we went to the crystal factory and to the nutcracker factory. And I was actually, one other thing I got to do that I thought was so neat was my niece had some German friends, and her son was having a birthday party, and she invited Bonnie's mother and aunt from the United States to come and enjoy the birthday party. And I was so glad to get to meet somebody that was German and in their own home. So that was kind of neat too. I just couldn't praise God enough for affording me that great opportunity to go somewhere. I've heard people say, well, I don't care nothing about going overseas. I hadn't even seen the United States. Honey, when you get a chance to go, it don't matter. Just go ahead and go. It doesn't matter if you hadn't gone next door to see your neighbor. If you get a chance to go halfway around the world, go. Enjoy. But on our way home, as we were waiting, it was announced that there would be a slight delay because the plane had experienced engine difficulty. And now I had been resigned when I left home that if it was my time to go, it was going to be all right. But now I'm going to tell you I had a different feeling when I was coming back home. And I was thinking about I might not make it. And I said, Lord, please, please let me go back home and see Fred and all my family, Lisa, and all before one more time before I have to be called home. So anyway, we got home safely. And after we got off the plane, Meredith and I went to the ladies' room. And when we came out, everybody had vanished. And we didn't know where they'd gone. I mean, there was nobody anywhere, nobody to ask. So we looked down this corridor and it said baggage claim. So we took off to baggage claim because we needed to go claim our baggage. And when we got down to the end of the hall, it turned. And as far down, I'm telling y'all, that was a long way. And I looked down that corridor and it said baggage claim. So we take off from baggage claim again. Get down there, same thing. Meredith kept saying, my middle name is June, so I mean, she likes to call it, she called me Betty June. Betty June, we didn't come in this way. Betty June, we didn't come in this way. Well, it was obvious to me, it was obvious to anybody that this was not the way we came in. And she had told her husband now, she says, now, this is the way we're going to come back in, and you be right here to meet us. So we knew he was waiting on us, and we kept walking in the baggage claim. Y'all, we were 2 hours late. And so I finally saw somebody that I could talk to. And I kept seeing this tram go by. And I said, what is this? And he said, that's the way, to the terminal. I said, can we ride it? And he said, yeah, it's free. So here we had, we didn't see no place to get on. We didn't know where to get on. Anyway, we got on the tram, and about 2 minutes later, we was at the terminal because we had done all that walking. So when we got there, my brother-in-law, we went to where we was, our plane was an Eagle transport or something like that. We went to that desk, and we asked if they'd seen anybody. They said, yeah, they're worried to death about you. Where were you? We told her about us getting lost. And she says, well, they've been here off and on all day wondering what in the world happened to you. Said, I was beginning to worry. She said, I'll page them. So anyway, as I was walking across the lobby there, I spotted my brother-in-law. So I think he was as glad to see me as I was to see him. And we got Meredith and we took off. And I called Fred and I told him, I said, we're here, but I don't know what time we're going to be home tonight. So we got in the car and we was riding along. And my brother-in-law never has anything, he's never been very complimentary at all. And so I think Meredith was driving and I was up there and he was in the back seat with my other brother-in-law. And he says, I saw Betty June when she was a little girl, and I saw her grow up, and I saw her when she got married, and she's always a pretty little girl, and I thought she was really made a nice looking bride. She says, but she has never looked as good to me as she did today in that terminal. So I knew that they had really had a hard time whenever they were looking for us in the terminal. So God is so good. Going to Germany was never something I even dreamed of. And if the circumstances had been different, I would have never gotten a chance to go. And I would never have experienced all the things that God showed me while I was there. So I just hope that we can all appreciate the gifts that God does give us, because every gift that we get that's good and precious is from Him. So hope you'll join me next week. Listen, like, comment, share, and subscribe. So listen, like, comment, share, and subscribe.